Finally got an opportunity to get back up here in the foothills of the Blue Ridge Mountains where I was born and raised. Over here on this side of the creek, this is the Lovell's Creek. Over here on this side of the creek, my daddy's uncle and great uncle lived. They were Mays, M-A-Y-E-S, Mays. And on this side of the creek over here is where all of our family lived. 3 or 4 houses on that side, 2 houses on the Mays side. And then on up on top of the hill, we kept our horses and stuff on this side because they had more pasture than we did. We didn't have that kind of land. But I growed up in this creek, walked it every day, caught fish out of it, mostly channel cat. They didn't stock it back in those days, and the trout was all caught out of it by the time I was a boy. I'm having to walk up the creek now. The road I was walking on used to be a good road to walk up this creek, but now it's all growed up. So I'm having to walk down here in the creek. But it's a good thing. I got on these lacrosse snake boots, and they're also good for wading in these creeks. Where I live, I don't have much use for them, but here it turns out pretty useful. Now I just need windshield wipers to keep all the spider webs off my forehead, and I'll be just fine. Now here I'm coming up on the dam that they built. This little creek used to flood out the city down in North Carolina. And so sometime after I graduated high school and moved away from here, they built a flood control dam on the creek here. And so up to this point, it's the same creek I always remembered. Slick rocks and crawdads and good fishing. But now they got this big old dam. And so I'm going to do a little bit of exploring today. Go around on the other side of it. Crossing a little creek like this, you can see it's moving pretty good right here. And you can see it's running around these rocks. So there's almost like a natural place to ford the river. And this water's not moving too fast here. But if you ever want to cross a creek without falling, and there's no guarantee that you won't fall, these rocks are so slick. But what you can do is start moving across the creek and put your foot up against these rocks like this, and then you can see right through there's one big solid piece of rock. Just keep your feet to the left side of that, upstream of that, and try to use whatever rocks are available to pin your feet up so you don't slide up. That should keep you fairly safe. There's no guarantee you're not going to fall. Or drop your camera in the water. I've been getting these shells and bringing them up here and breaking them open, getting them a little lunch. Proof that it's birds and not coons. One-third of the way up. 2/3 of the way up. I'm out of breath now. When I come back down, I'm gonna go along that ridge there and come down through the woods. If I'm not mistaken, that drain system is sitting in the old channel. So somewhere along in there, about 100 yards, 75 yards off of the water line, tree line, is the old swimming hole. And it was called of course it's a bad name that's not accepted in this day and time, but it was called the N-word rock. And I'm not going to say that word now on here and get people all stirred up, but the time and place I grew up in, that sort of thing was very acceptable. But at any rate, that was a swimming hole, and they got a legend that a black man was swimming in there and got sucked up under a rock, because there was a huge rock there that everybody jumped off of. But I guess the water was raging a little bit and sucked that fella under, and he died from that. And so that's what they called it. But we used to walk from across the river. We live right back over in yonder. Maybe just down this way a little bit. We'd come across the creek and come up here, walk up this dirt road to these old houses that were up there. One old fella named Bernie took some old wood and throwed him together a 1900 style log cabin. And we thought that was the best thing ever. Now I'm over here on the back side of the lake, and it goes back up into a creek right there. Lovell's Creek. This right here is deep enough to swim in, but I'm not going to do that right now. Let's just look and listen to the peace and quiet a minute. This is what you flatlanders call a ravine. It's a big ditch. Look yonder, groundhog running through there. I don't know if you can see him or not. I'm gonna try to get down there without killing myself. Then I'm gonna follow this little creek down here back to the river. Now, if you don't want to be tracked, then don't break nothing. Be careful where you walk and watch where you're going. But if you want to be tracked, then break something every once in a while, and preferably something up high. Of course, that didn't work like I wanted it to. But if you can reach up high on something that's green and just break it over like that, then that'll let somebody know you've been here. Now, something every scout should know, and I don't mean Boy Scout either, but a good scout, if he's lost and hopes to be found by another scout, what he'll do is he'll put this thing in the direction he wants to go, and then he'll move out. There's some other things you can do as a scout that'll let people know where you've been as well, by driving sticks in the ground. We'll cover that maybe in another video. But basically, I've come back around here to where the old access road to the creek ended. I was just here a little bit ago. There's the chestnut tree there. And the creek's right there on the other side of that chestnut tree. Sitting right below the old house that I grew up in. Of course, the house is not there anymore, but it used to sit less than 100 yards from here. It's a great place to grow up, I tell you. Yeah, I enjoyed that. Revisiting my childhood a little bit. Growing up in these woods, I joined the Marine Corps in '89, and I think I knew a lot of stuff before I joined the Marines in regards to scouting and tracking and different stuff like that. But at any rate, I don't say much about that stuff. Even on the videos, I don't do too much instructional stuff. But growing up in these woods is a great life. If you can get your kids out in the woods and teach them some things, that'd be great. I know I've been out in the woods with fellas before, and so look at that hog track right there, look at that deer sign. And I just, yeah boy, that's good. That's sure was, but in the back of my mind I'm thinking there's 50 other things been moving through here you didn't even see. Men and beasts and all kinds of stuff. But at any rate, I'm not really trying to brag about that. I shouldn't talk like that, but it's just a great life. It's good to be able to go out, and you've always got to keep your head on a swivel and make sure you're doing things right, but it's good to be able to get out and fend for yourself if you have to. I recommend it. I recommend getting out and doing as much as you can and get to the point where you can be cautious but not afraid. Most people be afraid to walk through the woods this day and time, and they'd be afraid to let their kids go out, and I understand in some places it's pretty bad. But as much as you can, give your kids the space to learn and the space to be successful, and take them out and teach them something. If you know it, if you don't know it, find somebody that does, and do your best to train your kids to survive and fend for themselves as much as possible. And I don't think you'll ever regret it. I don't think you'll ever regret it.